Good evening, Coffee Canine and Crime Unfiltered family. It is Monday, June 8th. This is your PM edition. Just wanted to bring you some updates from that I caught wind of today. So the very first one is going to be with Mr. Michael, former Trooper Michael Proctor. It brings me so much joy to say former Trooper Michael Proctor. He actually filed an injunction extremely late on Friday. Pretty much asking to not do his deposition today. Now, it was confirmed in today's hearing that Alan Jackson had flown in from California. I can imagine AJ is just a peach right about now. But the judge did hold off on doing Michael Proctor's deposition. Now, even though AJ is probably pretty pissed off, I'm sure Michael Proctor is extremely happy that he gets to hide his face for at least probably a few more days. Until we see his face again after his disgusting text messages were released to the public. Can't imagine that's a comfy spot to be in. On the next case, Miss Emily Grace. She's a 17-year-old who is accused of injury and torture, I believe is how it, or maim and torture, of animals from the National Barrel Racing Association event that just happened in Las Vegas. Miss Grace is accused of stabbing 3 horses at this event. Allegedly, she was caught on camera in the barns where these horses were being housed for the show. She was in court for her first hearing. The judge has ordered her to be held without bail. I'm not heartbroken about that. I'm just saying. The prosecution is also looking to move this to adult court. I would assume that that is going to lead to some bigger punishments. Now, here's my question for you. Being that she is 17 and allegedly her parents were actually notified that her behavior was a little off or a little alarming, if they did not do anything, do you think they'll face charges? Because if we think back to the Crumley case, and I hope you know what I'm talking about, the parents were actually held and convicted on charges resulting from what their minor child did. Would this be the same for Miss Emily Grace? Should it be? What's your thoughts? Leave them down below. Now, my final update for today is on Murdaugh. Alex Murdaugh. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. This was the disgraced lawyer out of South Carolina who was convicted of the red rum of his wife Maggie and son Paul. He was found guilty in 2023, and in May of 2026, the South Carolina Supreme Court overturned that conviction because of Miss Becky Hill and her jury tampering that she was never charged with. However, she did plead guilty to perjury. I don't know. Folks, I don't know. Anyway, that case is actually going to go back to trial. The first time they said it was going to be 3 weeks and it was 6. It was a very long trial. But yet it seems like it just happened 2 weeks ago. But with that said, how is this going to play out? The Supreme Court was very clear in its brief that they were not to focus so hard on the financial crimes, right? Because that's undue prejudice against him. But now that we kind of know what both sides of the V look like, how does this play out in a second trial? Now, in the last presser that Alec Murdaugh's attorney, Dick Harpootlian, was asked, did he think that this was going to go to court in 2026? And he said, quote, "No, hell no," end quote. However, the state attorney has advised that he wants to prosecute this as quickly as possible, hopefully before the end of the year, and may also make this a death penalty case. I don't know that I've ever seen a case retried that wasn't a death penalty case the first time, but they make it a death penalty case the second time. I don't know what the logistics of that are. I would assume that because they're starting at ground zero, it can be done. I'm not real sure. But all 3 of these cases we are going to watch extremely close. Now, if you have another case that you want me to cover, please leave it in the comments. Also, please remember, leave those coffee orders down below. Girl, honey, I need some coffee tomorrow. So, Dunkin', Starbucks, 7 Brew, and Caribou. None of those are sponsors, but they probably should be. So, with that said, I will see you the next time.